Very different. But still, really good teams then, really good teams now. It's all about competing, as we always say. It'll be a fun matchup to play and hopefully a fun one to watch.
And it's nice to have the caveat of not having to play back-to-backs at all.
Yeah, I guess that helps. But even whenever we did do that, we're still expected to win. We still put ourselves in a position to win. I think these games mean a little bit more now, so there'll be a lot more emphasis and a lot more detail that goes into it.
Our Winderman.
Jimmy, the last round seems to at least have started as more of a singular challenge against Giannis. Shut down Giannis, build the wall, deal with the consequences. How different is it when you play a team with so many weapons, with Kemba and Tatum and Brown, maybe even getting back Gordon Hayward as well? How different is this than maybe what you faced in the previous round?
I think every round, but yeah, every game that you go into, there may be a different scout report, a different scheme that goes into it. They got some really, really good players, but as do we. I still believe we can't be too focused in on them. We got to worry about what we can do and play our best style of basketball on both ends of the floor, because that's what we've been doing all year long. That's what we're going to continue to do. And I think that's what's going to put us in the best position to win is worrying more about the Miami Heat.
Speaking of that, and you guys have been confident all along, just that it's all about you. When you are this close to something, to get to the biggest stage in the NBA Finals, 8 wins from a championship, has that sort of been heightened as far as you as what the stakes are in this moment? Thank you.
No, not at all. We take it a day at a time right now. But we damn sure have to take it a game at a time. You can't get too far ahead and thinking, 4 more we're on to this, 8 more we're on to that. We got to get the first one. Then we got to get the second one. So right now we're just worried about today, we'll worry about tomorrow when that gets here, and then worry about game 1 when that gets here.
Tim Reynolds.
Jimmy, there's always this perception that as the games get deeper, as the rounds change, the games get different somehow. Do you find – is there much of a difference between – and the way you play the game, is there much of a difference between playoffs and regular season? I mean, obviously the stakes are higher, but does it change much else?
Not really. I think that I speak for myself and my teammates whenever I say we go about everything the same way every day anyway. We don't go into no game expecting to lose. We always want to win. Obviously, it doesn't go like that. Can't make shots every night, but there are certain things that you can control: rebounding, limiting turnovers, guarding. So we're gonna go into this the same way we go in every other game, which makes me happy because I know that we're coming to compete. We're bringing that dog mentality.
And I know that when it starts, obviously, it'll probably be every other day. At least we know the first 3 games will be every other day. But you guys have gotten used to this start, stop stuff. Does that even seem like a factor that you guys will be off another week before you get going for real?
Mm-hmm. We don't even think about it. We're make sure our body's right, our minds are in the right place, and that we're getting ready to play our best basketball. So, we play a game, recover, study it, be better, play another game. I think that's what this is. Any circumstance that this game has ever threw at us, we found a way to make the most and the best out of it. This is just another example. It's going to be very, very fun for these guys.
Malika Andrews.
Jimmy, I know you're focused on yourself, but when you do know who your opponent is, does that either change anything mentally in terms of being able to visualize things as you're going through drills or whatnot, or actually physically change anything in practice?
Not at all. I believe that. I think that we all think that we're the better team. We all think that we're supposed to be here. And that's the way that I think. That's the way I love the way that our guys think like that as well, because I think confidence and your mental is the majority of this thing. We always talk about beating the bubble. I think we've been done a great job of doing that thus far. So going into these games, it's about us. We're in control of our destiny right now.
So it's just, when you're thinking about it going through practice, it's just like a shadowy black blank figure. It could be any person that slides into that.
We just out there hooping, having fun, competing. And it's kind of like whoever's in our way next. You can't go around them. You got to go through them. So for us, right now, it's the Boston Celtics.
Anthony Chang.
Hey, Jimmy, I know recently you said Dwayne has been reaching out to you. You've never played in the Eastern Conference Finals. Do you reach out to Dwayne or any other guy kind of leading up to this series, or is it more just continuing what you've been doing?
I do, but a lot of the times it's not about basketball. I got to take my mind away from the game some way, somehow. It's always about checking in on people's family and make sure that they're doing okay. We know what the basketball part of it brings. But like I always say, I mean, you could say that there are more stakes on these games, but we still have to go about it the same way. We can't change in any way like that. So for us, I love talking to D Wade or whoever it may be, but it's more so just about life. It's kind of tough being here in this bubble, so you got to check in on your people.
Clay Ferraro.
Hey, Jimmy, Goran just said if you have to look to the past to get ramped up for anything like this and there's something wrong with you. And yet there is a kind of a fun history between these two franchises. And being the competitive guy that you are, you look back and Pat Riley and Danny Ainge have had back and forth. You and Marcus Smart, the big three versus the Celtics version of it. Does that make it even more fun for you to have a situation like that?
Not really. To tell you the truth, I think those teams were way better than the teams that we got now. You talk about having D Wade and Bron and C Bosh. Those are some hell of 5 players. I think the Heat now are just stuck with me, and I think I'd rather have D Wade. But looking at it now, I think it's fun to say that it's Survivor and it's the ultimate level of competing. And you talk about the back and forth between Coach Pat. It doesn't surprise me any. I love it. And that's why, we are who we are. Because the head of our snake, he's like us.
Gary Washburn from the Boston Globe.
Can you talk about your relationship with Jay? You guys obviously played college together. You guys faced off in that Bulls-Celtics series a few years ago. There was some trash talk going on. And what was your reaction when you guys acquired him, and how you guys have bonded since he's been here?
I think it's been great for me. It's been great for this team to have somebody that has been here before, talking about the Eastern Conference Finals, and a winner at that, man. He's super talented. He does whatever you ask him to do, never complains, and he always has a smile on his face. I think he's definitely key in what we've been doing, what we're trying to do, and I'm fortunate to be able to play with him at a college level. He was a college type of pro then when he went about it the right way. Obviously, Big East Player of the Year, so he was doing something right. He led Marquette to I don't know what they make it to, something. They won the Big East, so got to speak for itself. But I'm glad that he's on my team right now. Yeah.
Sherrod Blakely, NBC Sports Boston.
Hey, how's it going, Jimmy? I had a quick question for you. You talked a little bit earlier about just, that balance, talking to D-Wade, kind of, how tough it is in the bubble from a mental standpoint, trying to connect with your people outside. Can you speak to the importance of finding that balance with that part of being there, but also being locked in from a mental toughness standpoint? And how important is that going to be in this upcoming series with you guys in Boston?
Yeah, I think, mental is everything. But you're always a person before you're a basketball player. So, you always want to make sure that your family's okay, your friends, all of that. And D-Wade's been huge to me since before I was even in the league. But he's just an incredible human being who cares, obviously, about the Miami Heat organization, obviously about our players, but about me as a person. So, I think it helps to realize life isn't always all about basketball. But when it is about basketball, in between those lines, you got to be able to lock in, you got to be able to focus, and you got to come out with a dub. So I think there's a fine line in between being concealed in basketball 24/7, but you definitely need to be able to get away from the game, and I think we've done a great job of balancing that here.
Mark Schwartz.
Jimmy, Ira asked earlier about the battles that you've had with Marcus Smart. And there's few players in the league that have the same kind of dog mentality that you have. And Marcus Smart has that. What kind of opportunity is it to go head to head with a guy like that? And how will the tone of the series be set by the kind of plays that you make against each other from a dog standpoint?
he's just another opponent that I get the opportunity to go up against. I'm not going to sit here and make it about me versus him because that's not the case. I don't think he can win it by himself with the Celtics. I can't win it by myself with the Heat. So we're going to focus in on how we can help our team win and not make it a one-on-one, me versus him, him versus me. Nah, not that.
Tim Reynolds?
I forgot to ask you earlier, Jimmy, when you, a year ago, as crazy as that sounds, when you had Tyler working out with you in Chicago or wherever that was, how much of that was you showing him the ropes, but how much of that was also you figuring out what you had in him too?
A little bit of both. I think it was to getting to know the kid a little bit, and obviously knowing he's from Milwaukee, which is where I went to school, my rook. But he just showed me how hard he works and how he doesn't like to lose because I beat him in medicine ball volleyball every time we played, by the way. But to me, that showed a lot because he kept coming back and was like, yo, I'm going to win this time. I'm going to win this time. The work was always there, early morning, afternoon, night. So it's no surprise to me that he's been playing the way that he is.
Isn't medicine ball volleyball at 6 in the morning though cruel for a 19-year-old?
Yeah, it'll be all right. You grow into it after a while.
Cooper Moorhead?
Hey, Jimmy, we've already seen Indiana and Milwaukee chase certain matchups that they want to get after. I know you aren't worried about anybody competing, but as a team, how can you guys best handle the pressure that's going to be put on those individual matchups that Boston will chase?
It's all about competing. You could do anything that you think that you could do, that you want to do. That's all defense is effort, paying attention to scout report, knowing what guys are going to do. We got guys that bury themselves in the scout, bury themselves in film. So I'm not too much worried about it. But they do got some players. They got some hoopers that can put the ball in the basket. But as do we. So it'll be a good one.
And last question, Wes Lammy, go ahead.
Jimmy, obviously you shared the confidence of the team, and obviously in the Milwaukee series, you shared that you're not shocked by what you guys did against Milwaukee. How do you guys embrace that term underdog, obviously possibly going into this series?
I think that's a term that everybody else uses. We don't really use underdog. We may say that we have a chip on our shoulder, but I don't think that we're the underdog. I think that we're a really good team. We play together. Everybody knows their role. We just compete. That's what we're just competitors. So we're not embracing underdogs. I think we're supposed to be here. That's how we think of it. And to me, to us, that's all that matters. We're not underdogs. We're competitors.